Hi everybody, Chef Rob here. Today we're going to make chocolate brownie walnut cookies. Excellent. Okay, we're going to melt down some chocolate first. We're going to do 1 cup of the semi-sweet chocolate chips. The mini or the medium ones would be just fine. You want to kind of stay with it, kind of just melt it down, and then we're going to come back. We're going to let it cool slightly because I don't want it to curdle my eggs at all. Okay, so I'm going to let this kind of just melt down a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to do our dry ingredients. I'm going to take 1 cup of the all-purpose flour. I'm going to make that nice and smooth. I'm just going to go back to my chocolate. If you can see, starting to really melt down there. Okay, I'm taking a 1/3 cup of the unsweetened cocoa powder. Be careful you don't spill this on your floor, because that will go everywhere and you'll remember it for days. So, a 1/3 cup. Then I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Put that in here. Gonna move this bowl over here. Now I'm going to take a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This will really bring out the brownie flavor. There we are. Okay, let's check our chocolate. Just about all the way done. Then we're just going to let it, again, slightly cool. Just scrape up against the walls here so all those chocolate chips are melted. Perfect. I'm going to turn off my burner. Leave this on the side. Okay, now that our dry ingredients are all done, we melted the chocolate in the double boiler. Or again, you could also put it in the microwave, but just don't over microwave it because it can curdle. So be really careful with that. I'm going to take a 1/3 cup of softened butter. This is the unsalted butter. That way you're starting with no salt in your recipe, and then you know exactly how much to add. I'm putting 3/4 cup of brown sugar in. I'm using the light brown sugar. Actually, in this recipe, either one would be fine, the dark or the light. Nice and packed. And then a 1/4 cup. Just like that. Now, I'm going to take some of the white sugar. I'm using a 1/4 cup. Nice and level. Put on my beaters here. And I'm going to get this to where it's nice and creamed in. So I'm just getting my 2 sugars and my butter nice and combined. Doing it on a medium-high speed. Could take a minute, could take up to 2 minutes to get it all combined. And then I'm going to add 2 eggs that I brought to room temperature. That way it incorporates better. Eggs, to tell if they're fresh, if they're staying a little bit of water at the bottom of the sink, that means they're very fresh. If they start coming to the top, throw them out because it means they are old. Okay. And then we're going to be putting some vanilla extract in here as well. Make sure the vanilla extract is the pure, because the imitation really has no flavor. I want to get those little few crumbs that did escape, just like that. Okay, nice and crumbly. But now when I add the eggs in here, it'll all come together like a nice batter. These are large eggs. And then 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla. We'll beat this up. I'm going to beat this at a high speed. It could take about 30 seconds to a minute to really bring it all together. You can always kind of bring down the the little crumbles on the side here, so that way everything gets mixed into the batter. Okay, so this is nice and incorporated. I want to add my melted and slightly cooled chocolate into this. Take a rubber spatula, that way I do get all of the chocolate. Everybody loves good brownies. These really freeze really well. You will make about 24 cookies out of it. Of course, it depends on how big you roll them. I suggest rolling them about 1.5 tablespoons worth. So if you have something at home that you can measure that with, that'd be perfect. Alright, got all that chocolate out. What I like to do is kind of put it up against the beaters because I can pretty much get everything off of there. We're going to incorporate this. I just want to make sure down the sides I get everything mixed in very well. It's a little more involved recipe, but the results are really worth it. Now, it almost looks like a brownie batter. You can just dip strawberries in there. It looks really good like that. I'm going to add my dry ingredients in here now. Just wanted to get it where it is combined. And again, I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowls as we're going along. Doing this on a medium-high speed. Always make sure you have a deep enough bowl because that cocoa powder can really splatter throughout, so be really careful with that. You can see the batter is getting really thick, but it's going to be a cookie, so you do want it to be on the thicker side. We're going to be putting this in the refrigerator for at least 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and believe it or not, up to 4 days you can put this batter into the refrigerator. And then we're going to shape them. We're going to put them on a pan, and they're going to taste delicious. So here is our cookie batter right now. Before we refrigerate the dough, we're just going to put in 1 cup of toasted walnuts. Always toast the walnuts. I chop them. You can put them in a food processor or just put them on a cutting board and give them a little rough chop. Just make sure it's folded in really good. And now a 1/2 cup of the little semi-sweet chocolate chips. Again, if you only have the big ones, it's fine. So we're going to put this in the refrigerator for about an hour. The dough will be really thick and kind of sticky, and we'll be able to roll this and shape it. And then we're going to put it on a tray. So our brownie walnut cookie dough is refrigerated for a little over an hour. I took it out a few minutes earlier just so I can get it to a little bit of room temperature. And now I want to take about 1.5 tablespoons and roll it into little cookie balls just like that. And I will get about 24 out of a batch like this. We're going to put it into a preheated oven, which I already have done, 350, and then we'll cook them for about 12 minutes. The edge should have a nice little crispness to it, should be cooked all the way through. The inside should have a little softness to it, and that will finish cooking. So I'm going to do all these right now, bake them, and show you what they will look like when they come out of the oven. Our brownie cookies are out. I put them on this beautiful serving tray. Exactly 24. The recipe calls for. This is what came out. They still are a little bit warm. As you can see, they're a little soft in there. So you can always, to decorate them a little more, press in a little more mini chocolate chips. Maybe another nice walnut on top. Give it that nice brownie look just like that. Okay? When you're cooking these, make sure you're baking them on either parchment paper or a silicone baking mat. Make sure they're 3 inches apart. 350, about 12 minutes exact. I had 2 trays, so what I do is halfway through I flip the trays around so the tops and the bottoms get nice and evenly done. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy these brownie cookies.